I've just arrived in St. Petersburg for the opening of Queerfest, the city's annual gay festival, and I'm racing to get to the launch party before police close it down. Since July, promoting homosexuality has been a criminal offence. Well, we've just arrived at the venue for the opening of Queerfest, and there are 3 police cars and some 14 police, apparently on the lookout for gay propaganda. That's the official term for suggesting that it's okay to be gay. If you suggest it to anyone under 18, you can be arrested. The law against so-called gay propaganda to minors has made the festival a pariah. 40 venues refused to host the launch before this 17th floor gallery came to the rescue. Polina, who's now scared to give her surname, is Queerfest's main organiser.
Nobody knows what propaganda means. It's vague, and it's deliberately vague, because then our government can use this law arbitrarily to apply to anything, any open expression of homosexuality, to really drive LGBT people out of public space.
The law has caused outrage in the liberal West. Diplomats from Britain, Sweden and the Netherlands have come to lend high-profile support.
The Prime Minister has told President Putin, the other ministers, their counterparts, that they find this law against European law on human rights. So you have to say to what you think is not right and is a discrimination. So that is what we do and what we will keep doing.
It's not polite to
Not if this man can help it.
Why it's polite to act like this in Russia? It shows that these countries, honestly, they don't respect us.
Vitaly Milonov heads the Legislative Committee of the St. Petersburg city government. He drafted a ban on gay propaganda that became the model for the national law. On the eve of the Queerfest launch, he asked police to lock down the venue. For once, he didn't get what he wanted and the festival went ahead. It's organised by a group called Vigilante, meaning coming out. But thanks to Milonov's law, all this year's events will be inside.
People are intimidated, they're afraid, they don't know what is legal and not legal to do. I don't know if I can hold hands with my girlfriend on the street. And everybody's just feeling this pressure all the time. That's what it's all about.
A video message from an esteemed gay celebrity urges them to carry on.
Hello, I'm Stephen Fry. I'm sitting here in the offices of Vigilante in St. Petersburg. I came here on a journey to find out just exactly what this new homophobic law was about. And although I've been horrified and upset and angry at the brutish tyranny of so many of the homophobic people who are supported by the local government and indeed the federal government, what has touched me much more has been the work of the activists of Vigilante and the people who stand up to bullying, stand up to homophobia, stand up to name-calling, stand up to violence. And Vigilante is wicked. Thank you.
The sentiments go down well with the LGBT crowd, meaning lesbians, gays, bisexuals and transgendered. But the overwhelming majority of Russians support the new law. The country has never departed from the view that sex is only normal between a man and a woman. Even in the relatively gay-friendly world of showbiz, popular celebrities are actively backing it. Valeriya Perfilova is one of Russia's favourite entertainers, performing around the world and even at the Kremlin.
I think it's our duty to protect our children from any kind of sexual propaganda, because their mind is so vulnerable to process information of any kind of sexual relations, whether straight or gay. It doesn't matter. Even me, I would prefer not to know who sleeps with whom. I think the person's private life has to be left behind their doors.
As well as being an acclaimed singer, Valeriya is a devoted mother of three. Like many Russians, she wonders why her country's being picked on when scores of other countries don't even allow gay sex.
Nobody discriminates them because they are everywhere in every sphere of social life, and we have a lot of friends who are gay.
So you have nothing against anyone for being gay?
No, not at all. It's there. I am against a need to shout it in the media. It's quite unnatural. Why should I know who does this or that, who prefers this? Why should I know? I don't care. I think it's not decent, at least. We were brought up like this. It's not decent to speak about it.
Masha Gessen is also a mother of three, but sees the issue very differently. She's the ultimate suspect minority, a US-educated dissident writer who is also a Jewish lesbian.
Russia is not a tolerant society. When the West was having a sexual revolution and the gay liberation movement in the 60s, 70s, and 80s, we had the Soviet Union. We didn't have any of that. We don't have a way of talking about these things. This is really the first time that homosexuality has been discussed in public in Russia. And this is the way it's being discussed. So it's very easy. It's very easy to turn people who are already not particularly tolerant, not accustomed to talking about these things, to turn them violently against a social group. And that's exactly what's happened. We've seen a huge rise in anti-gay violence.
And they've seen it all over the internet. Vigilantes have been luring gays to parks, accusing them of being pedophiles and publicly humiliating them. Every encounter recorded and uploaded to far-right websites.
All of that appeared after propaganda laws. This group of people, Occupy Gerontophilia, it's called, they are posting videos of young gay men being tortured, and obviously they're open themselves in the videos, and the police is not doing anything to investigate.
Some might see this as bullies picking on a weak minority, but Vitaly Milonov says he's fighting Satan. As well as being a politician, he's an Orthodox church deacon.
It's a sin. We, as a Christian, I cannot allow, because I'm elected as a Christian member of a parliament, because I never hide that I'm a Christian, I think that a society that legalizes sin cannot do it, because sins are written not by man, not by humans. It's written by God, a list of the sins. That's why society that legalizes sin is going down terrifically.
Even so, he insists his law isn't anti-gay, it's just pro-children. Homosexuals can still do what they want behind closed doors, but from now on they can't tell anyone under 18 that it's normal.
It's legal, or to smoke a cigarette is legal to smoke a cigarette, but no one is able to make propaganda of cigarettes or spicy food among very small kids. It's not. It can kill a kid to give him a spicy food, but it's nice nice stuff for an adult. We're talking about lessons in the schools with the assistance of LGBT organization, describing that it can be not only Santa Claus, one Santa Claus, it can be a couple of Santa Clauses, you know, that they're destroying the fairy tales of Europe, changing them from princess and a prince to two princes, or two queens living together.
The repercussions of Milonov's law are spreading around the globe. Protests have been held in 30 countries, like this one outside Downing Street in London.
Not gonna get us! Not gonna get us!
Many are demanding a boycott of the Winter Olympics to be held in the Russian city of Sochi in February.
Gay rights for Russia!
We should boycott the games completely. Boycott them. Any civilized country should boycott them for this. If this was about people of colour or about religion, oh, it'd be a huge human cry, but it's not, because it's gay men and women. Oh, fuck them. You know what I mean? Pardon the language, folks.
Britain's government opposes a boycott, but both sides of Parliament decry the law. Chris Bryant, an openly gay Labour MP, warned it could potentially ensnare Russia's president.
And by the way, can I just say to Mr. Putin that every time he postures with his shirt off again, people might start thinking he's promoting homosexuality.
Vladimir Putin is renowned for baring his chest, usually during manly stunts. Even fully clothed, he's Russia's ultimate man's man. He just has to plunge a net into water to catch a king-sized trout. The national parliament, the Duma, is just as firmly in his grip. It passed the gay propaganda law without a single dissenting vote.
I mean, I don't think he's a visceral homophobe. He's just a basic, primitive xenophobe. And this particular brand of xenophobia is convenient and feels politically right to him at the moment.
Masha Gessen was among scores of protesters at the Duma the day the law was passed. Vigilantes attacked them as police looked on. She and her partner are now planning to move the family to the US.
We have 3 kids, and we violate the homosexual propaganda law every day, many times a day, because every time we indicate that we believe in the social equality of traditional and non-traditional marital relations, which is how the law puts it, we violate the law. So theoretically, it is possible to start hauling us into the police station today, several times a day, for instances of violation.
One group the police aren't hauling in is the far-right anti-gay gang known as Occupy Paedophilia. Its members log on to gay websites posing as teenagers. If anyone responds, they cajole him to a meeting place and pounce. What follows is brutal degradation, the gang acting as police, judge and jury. The harassment goes on until they agree they're pedophiles. On the few occasions police intervene, they arrest the gang's victims. One of the most active members is a 24-year-old woman named Yekaterina Zagunova. She sees all homosexuals as potential or actual pedophiles.
Гомосексуалист? Нет? Говори громче.
Нет, нет.
Не пас и не актив.
Нет.
Ты занимаешься сексом с девушками или с овцами? Или с мальчиками?
С девушками.
С девушками. А вот это все-таки кто?
After contacting her on her website, she agreed to meet us in one of the parks where they lure their victims. In person, Yekaterina is remarkably polite and
Движение основано на поиске
педоориентированных граждан, на поиск, выявление их наклонностей и, соответственно, снятие видеоролика с целью социального порицания.
She and her friends carry out their entrapments every Saturday. They call them safaris, as if they're hunting animals. The clips can be sickening. One showing a man being forced to drink his urine.
Это не жестоко?
Ну, мне кажется, педофилия – это более жестокое явление, чем выявление педофилии.
For generations, the Communist Party and the Orthodox Church made little distinction between gays and child molesters. When Stalin outlawed homosexuality in 1933, his officials began denouncing gays as pederasts, degenerate aristocrats, and traitors. Gay sex remained a serious crime until 1993, 2 years after the Soviet Union collapsed. But the old prejudices have found new life.
Ну, у меня педофилы практически все гомосексуалисты приходят, поэтому мне приходится с ними знакомиться в процессе беседы. Так нет, у меня нет таких знакомых, к счастью.
Почему?
Ну, потому что мне не о чем с ними общаться, не о чем с ними разговаривать.
По-вашему, они грязные люди?
Нет, по-моему, они не грязные люди, просто у нас с ними разные интересы, скажем так. То есть я не понимаю. Ну, здесь так же, как там, есть кто-то один стиль музыки слушает, кто-то другой. Вот у них одни предпочтения, у меня другие. У меня с ними априори не будет общего языка никогда.
Ekaterina clearly enjoys her internet notoriety. In one video, she talks about hunting gays with guns.
Съемки сафари идут раз в неделю, плюс педофилы пидорасы совсем офигели, они лазят на Дворцовой площади с флагом толерантности, они согласовывают митинги, мы решили вооружиться еще чем-нибудь помимо резиновых репрессий. Дмитрий, да? Там еще одна цель.
Вижу цель.
She's also a strong advocate of the gay propaganda law.
О, да тут серьезное дело! Огонь!
Совершенно поддерживаю. У нас не должно быть пропаганды гомосексуализма. Это противоречит институтам семьи, как минимум. Дети не способны сами принимать решения и мыслить зачастую в связи с тем, что они все-таки дети. Они свое мировоззрение строят на том, что они видят на улице. Если они видят на улице проявление гомосексуализма, у них понятие о том, что есть мама, папа и ребенок, уже теряется. Поэтому я за этот закон. Целиком полностью поддерживаю.
Do you worry, though, that you may have given unintended encouragement to some of the groups who are attacking gay people and videoing them?
Oh, this is an element of propaganda, Western propaganda, because believe me, a real level of physical attacks towards gay people is million times lower than a violence among football fans or violence among those who have different tastes in food. It's really funny in Russia to hear all the Western voices, guys, reporters with the serious faces say level of crime against homosexuals is terribly high, We are looking and laughing what you're talking about.
But anyone can go online to see the multiple attacks. Police have been crushing gay protests in full view of cameras. So why is Russia risking so much damage to its image abroad as the clock ticks down to the Sochi Olympics? Perhaps part of the reason could be found just walking around St. Petersburg. It's a museum of Russia's lost greatness. This was the capital of a Tsarist empire that rivaled Europe. And it was the cradle of the Soviet Revolution that made Russia a superpower. But in the 1990s, amid Western-inspired reforms, the state and economy crumbled.
Now, to understand the gay propaganda issue, you have to look at the other P word, paranoia. You see, it's widely accepted that the West doesn't want Russia to be a superpower again as it was in the Cold War. But more than that, there are strong suspicions here that Western governments are actively working together to undermine Russia, to keep it weak. And how does that relate to this? Well, many in the government, the church, even the media are convinced that gay rights groups, like all opposition groups, are just fronts for hostile Western governments. By that theory, they're being paid to spread gay propaganda, to corrupt Russia's children, and to dilute its manhood.
Russia can be a problem to some of our partners because we're trying to be strong, and we don't want to allow a new world order to kill people on the streets of Syria. So poisoning of a Russian society with these new standards of liberal homosexual revolution would, of course, make us weak.
Polina's group Wicked has already been accused of traitorous activities. In June, a court declared it to be a foreign agent and fined it $15,000. Prosecutors claiming it was secretly funded from abroad. The finding has been overturned, but Polina fears a charge of gay propaganda could wipe them out.
It's constant risk. Everything that we do with our organization could be interpreted as propaganda under this silly law. So, and the fines are $30,000. So, as you can understand, a fine like that we cannot sustain. If we are hit with a fine like that, we would have to close and then find other ways of working.
The paranoia goes right to the top. Over the past 2 years, President Putin has faced angry protests from the new middle class, demanding accountability and an end to corruption. Masha Gessen, who wrote a best-selling book on Putin, insists he sees these opponents as a fifth column.
In fact, he's convinced that Hillary Clinton personally is behind the protest movement. And that's why the crackdown is so much targeted against so-called foreign agents. Well, LGBT people personify foreign agents better than anybody else. We're sort of the quintessential foreign agent. And that's what this law is about.
And in time, Russia will know that too.
Stephen Fry warned the festival that Russia was sliding toward fascism.
And to use your voice quietly, moderately, reasonably, but persistently against the terrible tide of nationalism, religious zealotry and hatred that is threatening to turn this glorious Mother Russia into a fascist state.
I hope there isn't anybody in this room who is below 18 years of age, because if there is, I would now be a criminal according to Russian law. Hello, Russia!
At the Queer Fest dance night, the crowd is out and proud. But in contrast to Western gay groups, they're not calling for an Olympic boycott. They're hoping Westerners who come to Sochi might lend a hand.
First and foremost, Olympics is going to be a unique opportunity to speak out for LGBT rights. I think that whatever happens in the West usually doesn't get to us here. I would call on Games participants to come here and to do visible things in support of LGBT people. Only this way will we have a public discussion around propaganda laws, about these violations of LGBT rights here in Russia. And this is what we need as the LGBT community fighting for our rights here. So that's the most important thing, you know, athletes, visitors, sponsors, come here and do something.
Tonight they can forget about their problems. Tomorrow they can worry about what's coming next.
Спасибо.